Yeah.
This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon.
Yeah.
And we're live?
Yep.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is the Monday before Christmas.
Okay.
Santa Claus is coming soon. Emerson.
I should have gotten the memo.
Are you getting toys or coal?
Well, we do barbecue, so coal's always not always a bad thing.
I know it. If you get a bag of good coal.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
love charcoal. I was sitting there thinking the last week, I was like, charcoal's not always bad, depending on what you like
That's
doing.
it. Yeah, if it's just Kingsford, it's, take it or leave it, right?
Yeah.
But
We get the good stuff.
briquettes versus lump.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's funny because the parents always used to say you'll get a lump of coal.
And now we pay for it.
Dearly sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, we go out and we compare. And thank God for Academy. Right?
That's right. That's hilarious. So welcome to This Week in Real Estate. It is the Monday before Christmas. And if you have been thinking about whether or not Santa's going to be able to get into your house through the chimney, maybe you don't have a chimney. Maybe you're like me, you had to put a cap on the chimney. If you need to go ahead and divest that house real quick and get into another one, let me know and I can help you this week. We'll make that happen.
Sounds good.
That's a joke. It wasn't funny, was it?
Hey, we'll take it, right? It's right before Christmas. I got coffee, so everything's good.
I know. I need another cup, to be honest. I'm a cup behind right now. But today we've got my friend Emerson Williams with State Farm here. His office is in Smyrna, right there on Enon Springs.
Yes,
Right.
199 Springs Road West.
That's it. Right there, just down from Buckle and Hyde Leather, which is one of my favorite stores in the whole wide world. Go see Steve over at Buckle and Hyde. Never buy an expensive, cheap belt again. Okay. Go see Steve. They're real belts. He will fit you correctly. Like he just gets the belt blank and then he punches the holes in, cuts it to the length. It's the best money you'll ever spend on a belt.
Steve and Sharon are awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're policyholders of ours, so we love them.
Yeah.
They're like some of the first people before I actually opened, they showed up.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, just give me till Tuesday.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll be open. So.
That's awesome. Early adopters, right?
Yes.
I love
yes.
it. So we're going to talk a little bit about insurance needs and those kinds of things and what it means to be covered adequately in your home. This time of year, all kinds of crazy stuff happens to houses. And we're going to talk through that here in a second. We do want to pay the bills real quick. Mr. Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage is our guy. He loves to help spread the positive and sponsors me being on the air and helps with all kinds of other things through Trent's network as well. So spread the positive loves Bryan Nale. And Trent, you ready? Roll it.
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Primis Bank Mortgage, and I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission, and it helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's a true pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
All right. Thank you, Bryan. We love that guy. And he was telling me something very interesting. I think you'll be interested in this as well, just kind of hear what's going on. You may or may not know, interest rates have actually dropped off a little bit. They're kind of coming in a little bit like this over the last couple weeks. And that's good. Get a little rate relief, get some folks back into the market. But here's the really exciting news. Primis has released a I don't know what you call it, a promise, I guess, a program that if you go ahead and make a purchase now, then they will do if rates hit a certain lower level, they'll do a free refi for you.
Okay.
So they're saying kind of all the prognosticators right now are saying Q3, we're looking at rates back into the fours somewhere. And so if that's the case, then Primis will actually waive their fees on it. You'll still have to pay some fees for, the actual closing and the recording and some of those kinds of things, the stuff that can't be free. But they will waive their fee for a refi. So it cuts the price of a refi, the actual out-of-pocket price, probably pretty close to in half. So it's a pretty good deal. Something to, if you're on the fence a little bit about rates and all that kind of stuff, I believe there's a window right now, and I don't know how long it'll stay open, where the seller market has softened. Right, we've got folks that are paying some closing costs. We've got folks that are, doing repairs during home inspections. We've got folks that are taking home sale contingencies, all kinds of things that we haven't seen in 3 years, and that's available. That's happening right now as we speak. Rates have softened just a little bit. They've come down just a little. And then you combine that with the fact that you can do some refi later on for a very low price. There's an opportunity window that's kind of formed in the last couple of weeks that'll stay open for a little bit. But there's some chances right now. Folks that haven't been able to buy for a couple of years, this is a good time to do it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because everybody's freaking out. And usually when everybody's freaking out, if you get back and just observe,
that's it.
And just, do your mask it with some smart people like Jonathan, and just go over your options.
That's
it.
A
lot of times you don't know. You're going off of what is on the news and not what's happening local. And this is a very different.
Well, and not only that, but it's one thing to watch the news and take in the information. It's something completely different to process it and find that opportunity.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And our natural reaction when we don't know what's happening in anything is to freeze.
There you go.
Right. Whatever it is. Oh my gosh, the dishwasher's flooding. Oh.
But if enough people do that, that creates an opportunity.
That's exact. And that's precisely where we are right now. So buyers in general, that activity has slowed. In the month of October in Rutherford County, 29% fewer closings this October than last October. Okay. So prices haven't necessarily dropped, right? But, and in some submarkets they have townhouses, for example, we see a little bit of a pullback on price, but the overall activity has. So and people still have to sell houses, even no matter what the market is,
there you
right?
Go.
For all kinds of reasons. And if the activity is not there, then they have to entice people to buy that house.
Exactly.
So we can pay some concession or get you some concessions, closing cost repairs, those kinds of things. People are willing to take a contract with, this is not a fair term. Okay. So I do not mean this the way it sounds, but what is perceived as a lesser financing option, THDA, USDA, even FHA to some extent. Last year, it was hard to get those deals accepted because everybody was either cash or 20% down conventional. And you in a multiple offer scenario, you got 10 offers and you're the FHA guy, you're probably not going to get it.
Exactly.
I mean, you're just not. And fair or not is irrelevant. It just was. And we're just not seeing that. If you're the only offer on the table, as long as it's not crazy, you're probably going to get entertained.
And this is the thing. It's just whenever like you see people who are, and with the market, it's just the mindset and behavior. So when people start kind of pulling back, when you get a lot of people pulling back, and if you don't see the options, be wise enough to get with somebody who can see the options, lay it out like Jonathan. And I can, speak about just from personal experience with Jonathan. He basically walked us through the process, talked to us and said, hey, we can expect this. Half of them going to come off, with this. We had options.
Well, and very often, you were hinting at this, very often, if the entire market is going one way,
you need to.
There's opportunities if you're the guy that goes the other way.
And that's what I always say. It's a competitive advantage. If you see everybody going one way, you have to be not smart, but wise. And wise asks you, why is everybody going here?
That's it.
Is there something right here that I'm not seeing? And I'm a believer. So I feel like God puts people around you. You just have to be humble enough to ask those people, hey, I'm seeing this. What do you see?
Right.
And usually some good opportunity after that.
And almost always, it may not be a blatantly obvious opportunity going the opposite direction, but there's usually something.
It's always something.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, I look at the Pareto principle. I always concentrate on the 20% and try to give that 100% of my, attention. And it's been very profitable from a business standpoint, but also it's just how we think about everything. We're thinking about, I was telling my team this morning before I came out of here, they were like, we're doing really well. And I was talking to somebody at a Christmas party, and they have double the team, double or triple the size of, the team that we have here. And I said, because we are early adopters, we constantly look for innovation, and we leverage technology.
That's it.
And we don't push back.
Well, and let's say this too. I'm going to say it. He won't say it. And they've got a hell of a leader too. Well,
I try to take just my leadership style from Jesus Christ, best leader of all time. And I studied leadership for 15 years. I've studied leadership for 15 years and constantly try to get myself prepared, because the stewardship of being accountable for other people, I think it's important for me to know and really point them in the right direction. So I appreciate that. I don't consider, I know there's different levels of leadership. I'm trying to get to that level 5 leadership. That's the goal, but we're
it's like ninja level, right?
Exactly. It's like Contra, but without the cheat code. You actually got to grind, man.
Would it be nice if we had the cheat code?
If we had the cheat code, and we just got to where we needed to, we're like, okay, we're here,
Well, so Emerson Williams has a State Farm office in Smyrna, and he's been on the show before, and we've talked about some of this stuff, but he's done a remarkable job in the town of Smyrna of being very purposeful about how you build your office, and trying to have representative, the face of your office represent
our community,
the face of Smyrna, and it's been great for you guys.
It's been rewarding.
Yeah, you guys got a big award here recently, right?
Yes, we did.
Something bigger than a leg lamp.
We
weren't ready for that one, were you?
Hey, look, we got a bunch of 80s. We just had a Contra and a leg lamp reference, so you know what period we grew up in. And I'm laughing, and some of the kids are probably like, "What are they talking about?" But definitely, we got voted Roosie's this year for best insurance agency, which is awesome because we've only been open 3 years.
Hey, man,
with a COVID year.
And there's a lot of insurance agencies in Rutherford County.
And that's what I found out. I didn't know. They said you start off with about 200 and they work their way down. And we didn't see it because we didn't market. I didn't even know it. I thought the guy was scamming me and was trying to get more money. And I was like, how much do you want? And I felt bad when he said, no, the community voted you. So I felt like a total jerk after that. But
now you know. That's a big deal, man. Well, I mean, I've been nominated for Ruthie's every year that I've been an agent.
That's cool.
And I've won 0. I've not even been a finalist.
But you've been nominated. I didn't even know anything about it because we were just, like you said, our purpose is to reflect what we feel like heaven's going to look like with all of God's people there. And then also to change and influence our community. That's what we talked about this morning that's our purpose. So it's a Simon Sinek book called About the Why, right? And what's your why? And our why was to build something to influence our community so they can see. It's so much divisiveness right now.
Mm-hmm.
If they can come in, feel like their people matter, and they can see people from different walks of life having a good time and taking care of each other, we want to be, Jesus Christ's hands on earth to help bless, because we don't know who we're blessing by either asking or not asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
We're influencing their life.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't ask the questions, and we may be hurting somebody's family.
Yeah.
Just by not
and
asking.
They won't even realize it until 2, 3, 5 years down the road.
Sometimes 8 months.
Yeah.
I've had people to come in and sat across from me just like you, Jonathan, and 8 months later, they're not here. Or, 13 months later, they got a family of 3 and mom's not there anymore. And these kids are basically got to move in with their aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the person that says, hey, me and your mom had a conversation and this is what she wanted. And, that's something. And what we're doing is we're trying to educate everybody in our community, not the people who are the big net worths. It's more money in that. Not people who come from generations. And and me and Jonathan have similar backgrounds to how we, because of the country we live in and just the gift of education and the positioning, God's positioning to, bless us in our lives. We're able to do a lot of things for our community now. They're growing up. We're usually on the other side of that. People are doing things for us, and now we're able to give back, and that's how it's supposed to look. Public education has allowed us a lot of, opportunity to help people.
Well, and here's what else I never really understood this until a few years ago, and I sometimes you seek out information. So here's the thing: anything that you want to learn is out there.
It's out there,
right? And anything that you want to learn is it's available from pretty good teachers. And there's a quote that I love. It's a really long quote, but the gist of it is the only thing you're really limited by is your own curiosity. And think about that. So if you're curious, you can find the answer.
And you got to, just be tenacious about it.
But if you're not curious and you don't ever ask the question, then you're not going to learn it. Makes sense, right? It's so logical that it's like a duh moment, Yeah. So you're limited by your own curiosity. Well, I think what's cool, and this is what I've discounted, is I've learned that I am not capable. I am not the guy to deliver the message, whatever the message is, to everybody. Right?
That's great.
I can't do it. Right? I can't reach people the same way that other people can reach those people, if that makes any sense. And you realize that. And you realized it really early in your business. And you said, okay, Emerson Williams can't reach this population of people, but you know who can? And you went and found somebody.
And that's
can reach
what
them.
it is. I walked around for years and I saw the people. And then is the thing about it, you look at it, even for me, is, access was a person given an opportunity, but I'm sent up. But, the thing of it is, like you said, if you seek and you're looking for it, you're going to find it. And I wrote down in a business plan, this is what happened, but this comes from my background of my dad being an immigrant. My dad and, being an immigrant and coming here, how he was treated, super brilliant guy. And because he had an accent, people didn't want to deal with him, or they talked to him like he was not very smart. And
they discredited him.
They discredited him. And this dude is like, I always tell Jonathan, I say, man, he went to MTSU, one of the first, guys from Africa that came to MTSU. 4 years he graduated with 2 masters and a bachelor.
That's insane.
But you have to understand
that's contra cheat code level right there.
But you gotta understand my dad. My dad was just very, very driven. That's why, like, if you look in my family, I have brothers as a biomedical engineer, got brother as a lawyer, got sisters as neurologists, sisters that are editors of newspapers, and that's just kind of what we're known for overseas is education, but that got him from his poverty. And I didn't understand. I thought he's crazy. He got over here, but I never knew that level of poverty. We were poor, because it was just me and mom. But when I met my dad when I was, 9, because he moved back, he literally came here to learn to take back what he learned to his village overseas, and, became dean of a college and did a lot of cool stuff. But, that was the thing. Education got him out of his situation. Me not understanding that when you live other places, you don't get books. When you go to school, they don't just give you books.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Yeah. If I'm going to try to reach everybody, I don't have that context.
You're not going to have it.
I don't have it. I can't have it.
But you have the want. If you had the want and the desire, I honestly believe that God will put the people around you. He will give you the vision, and he will give you, the steps to complete the vision, but you have to humble yourself
and let go.
That's the hard part, because sometimes you get in your way, and then you have to understand what you don't know.
Yeah. I always get in my own way.
And that's what I talk to my son about a lot. I tell Joshua, like, dude, you're your biggest opponent.
Yeah.
Like, if you mean, and here goes another Rocky, it's you. When Apollo tells him it's you versus you, it's you against you, right? And that's what it is. And you have to understand, be self-aware, and know what you don't know. And then you like you said, humble yourself and go seek what you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but we were very intentional about it because the science was there and the numbers were there.
Yeah.
You look at the demographics and, you know, things were shifting. And the thing of it is, it was not, let me do it to get business. It was like, who can we help? Who can we not make feel like your dad who comes in and they have questions, but how do you reach them? Because there may be a language barrier. My dad, English is the official language of Nigeria, but it's British English.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people, when I sit down with my brothers and sisters, they think I'm crazy. I'm the crazy American. I think they're crazy because they're speaking this British English, and there's no way to communicate that.
Sure.
If I'm having that with people that I share the same blood and share the same language, we can't communicate. Now we have put the language barrier in front of us in a culture I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
When people are never able to translate what they want to know. So once we are able to put people in place who not just understand the language, but they understand the culture.
Right. All the context.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
the nuance.
And it's, I mean, it's cool to be there to learn, because even though they may speak the same language, their cultures are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I explained it to one of my customers last week, I was like, it's like you taking somebody from the most southern part of Mississippi and putting them in the middle of Queens or the Bronx and telling them to get around.
Good luck.
There you go. And she's like, I said, there you go. You got somebody from Central America who may have somebody from Venezuela, which is a very highly educated population, but you go somewhere like Honduras, it's very, very rural, and they don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So
even the same language. Yeah. Well, think about all the dialects of Spanish.
Yeah. And,
good gracious.
And that's what happens, because I had a customer from Colombia. I had a Puerto Rican team member at the time, and there was and his spouse was Venezuelan. And when the example came of an auto collision, it did not translate well. The woman was surprised because of collision, the way he used it in Puerto Rican Spanish. In Colombian, it means a totally different thing. And when we say smash, their smash and the smash she thought, she just kind of got caught off guard. And then her husband was like, no, this is how they describe it in Puerto Rico. I have Puerto Rican friends. And then she says, okay, because she was just like, oh my God, did he just say that? And he totally didn't know. And he's like, oh, I did not mean that. But
they just about had HR on the phone, didn't they?
I am HR. And this is the thing. And he came in and he explained to me, he said, Emerson, I didn't know. And
That's
I'm
hilarious.
like, he's been speaking, Spanish.
But we both speak Spanish.
There you go.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy. So that's awesome. And I love what you guys are doing. I love the why you're doing it. And obviously your community is responding.
I want to tell you something that happened last week that was really cool, Jonathan. So I had a team member have Miss Vicky. Miss Vicky's from Laos. I have a team member, Anna. She's not from Laos. She was born over here. She's first generation, but her parents were basically immigrated from Laos. Miss Vicky can come in and be herself. She brought Anna an outfit, traditional outfit from Laos last week. I mean, it was nice. And I'm like, she was thinking about you because you helped her out that much that she's on vacation in Laos visiting her family, and she stopped by the office and brought you some traditional stuff. Because
really, what people want is to be heard.
And understood. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. They just want to be connected. They want to be heard. They want to know that you give a crap.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
And they want to know that you give enough of a crap to hear them as they are, not how you want them to be.
And that's what happened. And we know we were connecting. And it was just like a nuance. And like we said, one of the things, and Anna taught me this with the Laotian community, is whenever they talk or present, if somebody's older, they'll refer to them as aunt or uncle, even if there's no connection.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that I learned. And so when she talks to them, she said, Uncle so-and-so's aunt so-and-so. And they automatically, okay, this is somebody who
it's a term of respect.
Yeah. And it's cool because I never knew it.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Rutherford County, which we had a huge Laotian population.
Mm-hmm. Have for quite some time.
It's just 80s.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting concept.
Another 80s reference.
Yep. Hey, we are the 80s.
That's it. All right. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk insurance for a minute.
Okay.
So obviously holidays, a lot of folks around, a lot of parties, a lot of things going on. Put more people into smaller spaces a lot of times for those gatherings. Give me like a top 3 to 5 things from an insurance perspective that people need to be aware of this holiday season.
When I say top 3 is kind of hard, but this is what we always look to do. First, we want to protect you from lawsuits.
Okay. So when you have a bunch of people at your house, there's opportunity there for.
There are a lot of people. People are out, and we'll talk a little bit more about lawsuits. Next thing we want to look at, we want to help you protect your paycheck. So people can get sick, hurt during this time. Things still need to get paid. So how are those bills paid for? So we want to protect. The last thing, we want to protect your lifestyle. So if you're not here, we can still have these Christmas parties. We can still travel. We can still do everything. Nothing stops after that. So we want to help you protect your lifestyle.
For the family.
For the family or your charity or wherever else that you love doing and it puts a smile on your face. We want to make sure that doesn't stop.
Legacy.
Exactly. Legacy. So first, lawsuits. Several different things, if you have, when we say lawsuits, do you have the right limits? Not only for your auto insurance, because more people on the road. If more people on the road, there's more likelihood that something bad's going to happen. We have snow that's coming in. There are a lot of things that we see. You're going to be on the road. Do you have the proper limits? And what that means is if you don't have the proper limits, you may be paying for somebody else's Christmas for the next 25 to 30 years. And what I mean by that is once your insurance pays out to its limits, you're responsible for it. And you say, well, I don't have any money. Any money that you come in or any income, the state of Tennessee said we can garnish 25% of your wages until you retire or settle this amount. So that's one thing.
Best advice I ever got along those lines is you don't have to be a millionaire to be sued for $1 million.
There you go. Because it's the perception of who you are. And I always tell professionals and business owners, I see Jonathan, I asked him how many podcasts. He said, I got 2 podcasts. He has multiple businesses. So Jonathan's a good dude, right? But I'm suing him for who I perceive he is. And I hear a business owner with multiple businesses, multiple streams of income.
Target.
There you go. So, you look at your assets. So making sure you have the proper limits. Now, I
just got really uncomfortable, by the way.
Hey, well,
just kidding.
Yeah, that's how people look at you. Yeah. That's why you see, if you go up and down, you see Bart Dorm signs, you see, all type of other attorney signs that we say, personal injury, signs that we see everywhere, because that's how that people perceive and pay for things. And I always ask people who pays for those personal injury billboards you see. They're like, I said, no. They're companies who make a lot of money by marketing that and suing you, the hardworking, small business owner, professional, that this money could be going to your family that's being paid out to somebody else's family because you didn't have the right conversation. This is just with auto insurance. And then you think about everything that you have and you work hard for it. I always say your stuff, business, at your assets, and that makes you feel a little bit better. But your stuff that you work hard for, how much are you covering that for? If you're just having, small limits, let's say 100,000 in personal, bodily injury per person, the middle number is for the whole accident, 300,000, another 100,000 for personal. If you so basically what you're saying is all the assets I have, it's covered by $100,000. Are you okay with that? You may have over $1 million. You look at your house, you look at, your retirement, husband, spouse, you look at what you have in the bank. Some people say, well, I don't have much in the bank, but you may have this, the potential that you have. You look at your current age. The majority of us are going to work till we're 70 years old, at least. They're going to look at that each year and they're going to sue you for no less than that amount. And so when that happens, you're paying 25%. The state of Tennessee said they can come after you for that. So this is just for auto. Now we're going to talk about, like you said, Jonathan had a really nice party. He's a fun guy. I'm not. My son calls me the Grinch because I don't, and it's not, I'm just not a big holiday person, but my wife, my kid, and everybody else are, big holiday people. Jonathan has a good time. I wish I could be as cool as him. But what happens is you invite people over. You have to have the right liability limits on your house, because if something were to happen at that party, somebody has too much eggnog and
trips over a root in the front yard. Whatever.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Breaks their arm.
Jonathan's on the hook for that. Him and his wife, they're on the hook for that. So make sure you have the proper limits for that. So that's what we want to get in and help you protect you from lawsuits.
And it's so tempting because you don't. I mean, hopefully you don't ever use your insurance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tempting to say, I drive safe. I do this. I make sure all this stuff, I maintain my home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever have anybody over, whatever. Right. But it just takes that one moment, and maybe it's not anywhere even remotely close to your fault. It's not your negligence at all, but you're involved. One of my favorite things is to talk about the difference between fault and
liability.
Yeah, responsibility. Fault and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I have a car crash, okay, and neither one of us. The law is going to assign somebody to be at fault, but
liability.
Realistically, neither one of us were at fault. It just kind of was an accident. It just kind of happened the way it happened, right? Is it my fault? Maybe not, right? But do I have a responsibility in it? Yes. And so when we talk about those liability, that coverage, it's what helps you with your responsibility should something happen, even if it's not your fault.
Exactly.
Right.
It's going to make sure that you're protected. So that's one less thing you got to worry about. We write the check. State Farm writes the check. In my case, being a State Farm policy holder, we'll write the check versus Emerson writing the check. And the other part of it is interesting to know in the state of Tennessee, 1 out of every 3 drivers has no insurance. All right.
That's crazy.
Notice I didn't say
there's a state mandate that says you're supposed to,
but the mandate, legal limits, what is legal to drive may not cover.
It probably doesn't.
Exactly. Because
we want to skimp. And that's kind of what I was driving at is, it's very tempting because I never use my insurance to carry a minimum coverage.
So I'm going to give you something that happened. Couple things. One thing is, like you said, the person says, well, I never did this. I never did this or anything else. But me and Jonathan both have children. Okay. I had a lady, a customer of mine. She did everything right. It wasn't, a refugee from Baghdad, and did everything, works hard, does everything. But what happens? Kid takes the car when mom sleep, and we've all done stupid. Well, almost talk for me. Maybe Jonathan is the perfect kid and he never did it.
That negative Ghost Rider. Okay. There's you another 80s reference.
So kid takes the car out when mom sleep, picks up his buddy and another friend. Guess what? They run into a transformer.
Not a robot.
No, not a robot. Another 80s.
Yeah.
Runs into transformer electrical box owned by the town of Smyrna. What happens next? Police gets called. It's 2:00 in the morning. Mom gets a call, plus 2 other parents get the call. One of the kids was a girl, so you get caught out with 2 boys, and I have a daughter, and Jonathan has daughters. We're not very happy, so she goes into coverage mode, and we're not talking about insurance. I'm hurt, other kids hurt, whatever, because they're called out. Now you're liable. This lady was liable on something she did not have. She just had a child who took the car out. Now she's liable to 2 other families, and plus the town of Smyrna. The town of Smyrna sent her $60,000 bill for her son running into that transformer. And that's something not carrying the proper limits has exposed. Now, she's on the hook for more money, but also she does not know how to, the law works here and everything else. And that's something that she had no control over other than the right limits.
It's not her fault.
Yeah.
But it is her responsibility.
It's her responsibility. And that's some of us who have kids is, like Jonathan said, that responsibility goes to college. It follows them to college. Your assets are still, exposed. So just have the conversation. And, I said, do you want to, deal with a little bit of agitation or the major devastation? You got to make a decision.
Yeah, I've heard it explained. You can cry a little bit now or a whole lot later.
Exactly. And so that's one. And like you said, the responsibility some people don't get because they say, oh, I don't do this, I don't do that. It's not about you, it's what other people do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And during this time, everybody's on the road and everybody's in a rush.
Well, and I sometimes have just a teensy little temper, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody cuts you off and you make a bad decision after that and they brake check you or something. And, there's all kinds of things that can happen. And in that moment, you're not thinking, ooh, do I have proper liability?
You're not.
No.
And this is what happened just like with us. I've been on every side of insurance. I've written the checks for claims. I've sold insurance. I've done everything. I didn't have my first ever claim for an accident until 2021.
Really?
Yeah, ever.
Wow.
And the thing of it is, this has happened. We're going down to my wife's graduation down in Birmingham at UAB, and we're riding in the fast lane while it's raining, and all of a sudden we just feel a wham in the back on the interstate on 65. And what happened was, like you said, it was one of those incidents where two people got mad at each other, and one person who was towing the truck did not want to move to the other lane. So the other car had a little small car, decided to go around him. He got mad and ran in the back and pinned them into us. And next thing I know, I'm on the side of the road. The insurance agent with my wife and my kid living it with my policy holders. It was not our fault or responsibility. Yeah. And well, guess what? Policeman came back, told me this person doesn't pay for their insurance very well. Don't be surprised if your uninsured motorists have to take care of it. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
He showed it when they checked it. Once we filed a claim, he had no insurance. So our uninsured motorist was responsible for somebody who was irresponsible.
Let's talk through some things that you can make a little checklist right now.
Okay.
Of things that you can check and be aware of and watch during the winter months, during the holiday season, of just some red flags, some opportunities for you to expose those assets. So you've already mentioned having holiday gatherings.
Gatherings. Also your entries, make sure it's salted and you clear your driveway, because if somebody comes by, kid or anything, and they get hurt, you're liable for it. So make sure you take the proper precautions to put your salt, shovel your entryways and your steps and all that good stuff.
Your trees, they get iced down if you've got dead branches in them,
and they can go on somebody else's fence or fall on somebody else's stuff. So definitely with that. As far as making sure with frozen pipes that if you have not already, you have a sprinkler system, call one of the local landscaping companies, flush them out to basically remove the metal part on the side of your house, so you don't have any leaks or anything. Like, there you go. So I just know the part. I don't really know the parts. I know what they look like. You don't want to have that.
Space heaters, kerosene heaters, those kinds of things.
Check those.
Keep stuff away from them.
And also with Christmas lights, make sure you turn them off every night. Candles blown out. This stuff that we think that's simple, but we have to walk through, check all your doors. If you're getting Amazon deliveries, make sure you put a special, order, or have a neighbor or somebody to make sure that they keep an eye on it for you. I always ask to, maybe put it out of sight, out of mind, because when it's very tempting when people see stuff stacked on your porch. And also, make sure that you keep the lights on at certain times. If you're going to be away, don't post on social media that you're out of town. Don't take pictures showing that you're out of town on social media. Post those later after you get back. There you go. And some of that stuff is common sense, but some of it is not common sense. But
and for the love of all things holy, don't drive drunk.
Yes, please don't drive drunk. They have Uber
or buzzed, or
they have Uber. So one of the things I would tell you, go get an Uber gift card. pay it for yourself, or pay it for somebody else. Get an Uber gift card and do something like that. Things with your kids. Make sure you have conversations with your kids about taking gifts and things from other people. Make sure that you're just being thoughtful when you're on the street. Make sure that no gifts is more important in your life or that of your family's life. Everybody has stuff. We really want to look at, make sure that those people are protected and kind of go from there. So that's, my checklist. And also when it gets cold outside, make sure that you leave your waters, a little drip, so your pipes don't get, kind of backed up and can get frozen, because there's a potential with this freeze coming in this week. In, I think February last year, I had a sprinkler system in an apartment complex, froze, cracked. Water went all the way down 3 floors, and our policyholders on the bottom floor, she did nothing. This is another one that you were talking about, responsibility versus what? She was not responsible for it. But she had to be responsible for her personal belongings with her renter's insurance. So she calls me on a Saturday. That's the good thing about having your local agent. She calls me on a Saturday. Me and my son go to her house. State Farm gives us the ability to write a check for them right there. So we put her in a hotel, but we also gave her some money where she could go buy clothes, because they lost everything. They lost their clothes, they lost their food, and she had a 16-year-old daughter. We was able to write a check, put it right in her hand. They're taken care of. The
immediate.
Right then. And they give us something called agency draft authority. That's where we can act, and that's something that separates us from our competitors. But we were able to put that check right in her hand. And me and my son had something planned out. I said, look, it was a way for me to teach him. Yeah, we have this planned out for ourselves, but this is what they're going through. So we show up and we're able to take care of them. But that's one of the things. She did nothing. It's just the sprinkler system froze and leaked everywhere.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you. How can somebody get a hold of you?
Several ways. You can go to our Emerson Williams State Farm Insurance on Facebook. That's one way. You can contact us on Google Maps. So you can just go to Google searches and it'll have a contact me. You can go on and contact us there, on social media. You can also call our office at 615-459-2683. Just leave a voicemail or text us from that number, or in my personal cell phone. If you want to, contact me, 615-772-8779. We love working with people. We want to help you grow. We want to help protect the stuff that you work hard for, but also we want to help you move you closer to your dreams every day.
What's your email address? I love it.
Emerson@insuremebige.com. Insuremebige.com. If you see me, you'll know why it's bige.com. So just Emerson@insuremebige.com. And we want to rock and roll and help you grow. 2023.
Love it.
All right.
All right, buddy, man. I appreciate you. If you have insurance needs, give my friend Emerson a shout. If you have real estate needs, give me a shout. There are opportunities right now. I'm telling you, that window is opening, and it's not gonna be open a very long time. And we can talk about all those details. We do have an event coming on January 9th here at Cedar Glade. We've got a year-end 2022 recap. What the heck happened in 2022? We've got some guest speakers coming in that are going to talk about this volatile market that we're in the middle of right now, and how we got here. Also, I do have a really great house listed right now, 606 Amberley here in Murfreesboro. It is gorgeous. It's on a big old lot, 3/4 of an acre, 4 bedrooms. And if you want to see that, definitely give me a shout. We'll go check it out. It's all Siegel schools. I'm sorry, it's Wilson Elementary and then Siegel Middle and High School. It's a nice place. And then, of course, if you need something mortgage wise, give my friend Bryan a shout. I guess that's it, man.
Hey,
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
We were doing this last year, I think on the 20th, maybe a day later.
Nice.
So
I like
appreciate
it. Make this a
annual
thing.
Yep.
Maybe